Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about finding the sweet spot, I suppose. So let's get into it. So the question in question was posted on an old video I made, and it is: how is one supposed to maintain stealth while also living within a toxic environment? I seem to be in a position where I must show deterrence, otherwise people will lose respect for me. However, that also puts a target on my back. Based on the context, I suppose that what you're asking me is sort of this problem that it might be that you, as a software developer, have to shoot down things sometimes and sort of be the negative Nancy or the critic or so forth, because usually, well, it depends on the environment. I've been in a few of these sorts of situations where you're dealing with designers or product owners or people who don't really have an attachment to the technical part of what to do, and so they can be inclined to be more idealistic. Design is a very notorious area for this, because when you're designing something, there is no, you don't have necessarily an understanding of what's technically possible to do, so you design for an ideal case. And as a software developer, of course, then when you see these designs and you see all the work and planning that goes in, and you kind of have to say, well, no, we can't do this, or you can't do that, or they have expectations on how the system should behave, but you can't really make that work, or there's like issues because the idea is a little bit too out there, or something like that. These are very common things that you as a software developer will face. And so, as you sort of refer to, that puts a target on your back. And I have been here, guys, in a few cases, and I've learned this the hard way. So the advice that I can give you is that you should try to master the art of giving good advice. And that basically means that you have to understand that even if you are right, even if you know that this project is doomed to fail, if they do this thing that they're trying to do, it's not going to work, or it's going to cause issues, etc., etc. This is very difficult. I know this firsthand. All you can do is to try to explain as well as possible. So here it's good to have those soft skills. Inform and suggest alternatives, but don't let this bad decision or this thing that might be going on get to you. Because what I can tell you guys is that even if you are right 100 times in a row, it won't matter how many times you say to people, I told you so. If you're dealing with people who, quote unquote, know best themselves, because they will always have a reason why something doesn't work, and they will just they will get annoyed at you because they will perceive you as someone who's trying to shoot down their great ideas. Even if these ideas are not working out, they will find a way to justify to themselves that this was not their fault, or this was a good idea, etc., etc. Or maybe they won't even give you just want to give you the pleasure of being right. And I can tell you another thing: if people start resenting you, which does happen when you say I told you so 100 times in a row, they will start to resent you sooner or later. That's the target on your back. Now all of a sudden people are gunning for you, and you cause friction and tension within the group. Now you have to sort of ask yourself whether or not that's worth it to you, because fundamentally what it comes down to is that you can live that sort of life and have that sort of career, but you should know that it very dramatically decreases your chances at having, a good office environment, promotions, everything like that, because you're basically putting yourself, the questioner suggested, you are putting a target on your back. And the reality is, guys, that very few people can go by things this way, where they sort of just say what they think, they push their their agenda, and they call everybody else an idiot, or so forth and so forth, and deter people just over and over. And without any sort of repercussions, because you basically have to be able to play well with other people. You can make your speak your mind, and my suggestion is that you try to speak your mind in a way, as I said, as just giving advice, and then learn to let go yourself. This was very difficult for me. I have had some fairly tough going in a few cases where I couldn't do that, where literally, my idea was basically just that, well, okay, these people are wrong about this, but I will I will disagree and I will commit anyway. I will try my best, and then I will just try to the next time, and then the next time. But if you continue seeing this pattern where you're just shut down and you are perceived as being this negative person who just keeps on not being shut down, at least I would suggest to you, I learned this the hard way, move on. Because the reality is that you're trying to help people that do not want to listen to you. And unless you are in a position of power or authority, where it is your job to basically just sort of tell people what to do, then you're giving advice. It's the saying we use here in Sweden is pearls for swine. You're trying to give them something that might help, or hopefully will help, but they don't appreciate it, they don't want it, even if it is the thing that is best for them. It's a little bit as a doctor making, setting a diagnosis, suggesting some medicine, and then having their patient say, no, I don't want that medicine. The doctor can be upset and so forth, but ultimately it is the patient's decision to take the medicine or not. And it's healthier for you as the person giving the advice to detach yourself in that situation and just sort of accepting that if you can't approach someone, give them these suggestions and be heard, and then win an argument or win them over in a graceful manner, then just inform them so that they have the information, and then let it go. Worst case scenario, move on if this is a pattern that you see over and over and it really does hurt you on the inside. That was one that I had a tricky time figuring out. Took a while before I realized that, next time, instead of suffering in silence for that long, I'm just gonna do something else. I'm gonna work with other people who might be willing to listen instead, and let as I've said a few times before, if the Titanic is on a collision course and you warn everybody, nobody cares about what you're saying, then just go and sit in the lifeboat and wait, or better yet, get the lifeboat, get off before it crashes. So what I want you to take away from this is that my suggestion to you is that as a software developer, these soft skills that I've talked about, they are very, very important, guys. So learning how to not let things get to you, and frustration and so forth, like managing anger and things like that, it's a very good investment for you to make. Because, as I said, in many cases, yes, you are probably the smartest person in the room, and yes, you are probably the engineer who has the right idea, or so forth and so forth. But the reality is that you're working in an area where you have product managers or stakeholders or people around you who don't necessarily have the same skills that you have, they don't have the same understanding, etc., etc., and they prioritize different things. And the reality is that just as you have to sort of play ball with someone who has, who controls the environment, just as you are probably not going to agree with everything that a politician decides on in your country or so forth, there are going to be battles that you can win, and there are battles that you're not going to be able to win. And the best thing for you is to actually try to master your persuasion and your perceived value, because people are more willing to listen to an individual who they respect or seem to be on the same level as, and in some cases you will not be able to do that. So try to master the art of giving advice. Try to inform and try to suggest alternatives, and then don't attach yourself to these suggestions, because if they don't listen and you continually see things failing and just going wrong over and over, don't become a I told you so person. I've been this person, guys. It doesn't work, because if you deal with the wrong people, they will never be wrong. There will always be a reason why they're not wrong, or why it was somebody else's fault, and they won't appreciate you trying to trying to repeat like these sorts of things, they will just start resenting you. And if people resent you, then you can be as right as you want, but they won't give you the gratification of being right, because now they hate you. If you get to that point, you've really gone off on the deep end. So try to win an argument or suggest things gracefully. If it doesn't work out, either let it go, detach yourself and understand that, yeah, this project is never going to be perfect, but I can live with that, or go and work somewhere else. Have a great day.